Folks in Appalachia have told tales of the unknown since the time they set foot in these mountains. Many of those stories, though, are disappearing as the art of telling stories has faded over the last 75 years or so. Today, we take a ghost of one of these stories, so to speak, and flesh it out and hopefully preserve it for future generations. You're listening to MountainLore, Tales from Appalachia.
Okay, so it is that time of year for ghost stories, so.
It is indeed, and this one is a very special ghost story because a fellow that I know and used to work with in radio contacted me a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really?
And said that he had heard bits and pieces of this story and couldn't find anything else out about it. And I told him I'd see what I could find and or try to embellish it a little bit to use as a story. So are you ready to see what we can do with this?
Yeah, I'm anxious to hear this one now.
Okay. Well, for this one, we've got to go up into the remote valleys of Scott County and Russell County, nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains of southwest Virginia. There was a chilling tale that has been whispered from father to son. It's a tale of a ghost rider, a spectral horseman who haunted the winding roads that connected Grassy Creek, Crow Holler, Dungannon, and Nicholsville. Now, this ghostly figure had tormented the souls of those who ventured into those desolate woods for decades, up through the 1940s. The story, Gina, told of a sinister encounter that awaited those who ventured into the woods. It was said that the ghost rider would emerge from the shadows, at first seemingly harmless, but the closer he got, the more ghostly he became until you saw him astride his black steed, galloping silently through the mist. Clad in tattered, ethereal garments, he bore a devilish grin that struck fear into the hearts of even the bravest souls. But what made the legend truly horrifying was the ghostly rider's unsettling ritual. It was said that he would approach lone travelers along the desolate trails and offer a spectral handshake. And with that unholy grip, he would set ablaze the very items his victims held most dear, their horsewhips and riding gloves. It was as though his hand was a gateway to the fires of hell itself.
Ew.
One chilling night, a lone rider named Sam Ward set out on a journey between the towns in the area. The dense forest seemed to swallow him whole as he rode along the winding path. The air grew colder, and the mist thickened, foreshadowing the presence of the dreaded ghost rider. And just as the legend foretold, the ghost rider materialized from the inky shadows. His horse, eyes like burning coals, snorted eerie, smoky breaths. Sam's heart raced as the phantom rider extended his skeletal hand. With trembling fingers, Sam had no choice to reluctantly accept that cursed handshake. In an instant, the leather of Sam's gloves burst into flames, and his horsewhip ignited, casting an eerie orange glow across the haunted woods. Sam screamed in agony as he desperately tried to extinguish the inferno, but it was no use. The ghost rider's hand, ironically, as cold as death itself, clung to Sam's, and the flames danced on.
Ooh.
With a malevolent cackle, the ghost rider spurred his steed into motion, dragging Sam through the twisting forest trails. The flames from the burning gloves and whip illuminated the night, casting grotesque shadows upon the gnarled trees. Sam's horse galloped desperately, trying to keep up, but the spectral steed of the ghost rider was relentless. As they raced through the night, Sam's vision blurred with tears of terror. The ghostly figure on horseback seemed to mock him, his chilling laughter echoing through the woods. Just as Sam felt his strength waning, the ghost rider's grip suddenly released, and his fiendish laughter faded into the darkness.
Goodness.
Gasping for breath, Sam found himself alone in the forest, the flames finally extinguished. He could hardly believe he'd survived the ordeal. It seemed the ghost rider had grown weary of his torment and vanished back into the abyss from whence it came. Well, Gina, from that night on, Sam Ward never dared to ride those haunted trails alone again. He knew the ghost rider still lurked in the shadows, waiting for the next unsuspecting traveler to cross his path. The legend of the spectral horseman, with Sam's own name now forever entwined with it, would continue to haunt the valleys of Russell and Scott counties for generations to come, a dark reminder of the terrors that could befall those who ventured too far into the heart of the wilderness.
Phew. Can you imagine? No. Oh, my. Golly. And I'm wondering, why couldn't he not shake his hand?
Oh, he didn't want to shake his hand, but he felt compelled. There's something about this ghost rider that compelled him to stick his hand out and shake his hand.
Well, and he lived to tell it. That's awesome.
He did indeed.
That's a good story. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Now, this is not the whole thing. I just sort of embellished it a little bit more, but maybe y'all will like it enough that you'll spread it around and we'll have a whole new folk tale. How about that? Folks, that is the tale of the Ghost Rider of Scott County, Virginia. Another bit of the folklore told in this place we call home. Thanks for listening. If you like our tales, please subscribe to the MountainLore podcast. We're on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on your favorite podcast app. And we're also on TikTok at Stories of Appalachia and on Instagram at Story Appalachia. Follow us there for short video stories of Appalachia, and we may just do this one as a video story as well. Till next we meet. Sweet dreams, podcast listeners.